director to my left is Marcus Smith. He is the creative director, and he was the project manager on Resistance 2. He's worked in video games for quite some time.
And Resistance 1.
Oh, and Resistance 1, Fall of Man.
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Marcus Smith, everyone.
Thank you.
The recently arrived Grant Hollis is next to him. He's the art director on Resistance 3. He's worked on basically all of the PS3 Insomniac games, Ratchet and Resistance alike, so welcome. Next to him is Kevin Groh. He's the animation director and a long-time Insomniac Games animator. He's worked on Resistance and Fall of Man as well. And he also comes from Disney and worked on all the great late 90s Disney movies, Hunchback, Hercules. It's true.
He personally...
Hi,
everybody. Kevin brought about an end to 2D animation, personally. That's what he did.
Those were good movies. And then we have two voice actors from Resistance 3, which we're really excited about. Robin Atkin Downs is here. He plays Joseph Capelli. You might know him from all sorts of things: Uncharted 3, Halo, Gears of War, No More Heroes, etc., and so on. He's also going to be in the Thundercats cartoon reboot. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mumra's in the house.
Yeah, Mumra's in the house. Just wanted to start off this panel in the dulcet tones of Arnold Schwarzenegger this year. I. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have Crispin Freeman, who's another voice actor. He's playing Charlie Tant in Resistance 3, and you might know him from Xenosaga, Hack, Tekken 5, Crisis Core, also Naruto and Young Justice on television. So, thank you, Crispin. So Kevin, I know you were really, intimately involved in obviously the motion capture and stuff. So I mean, how was the decision made to abandon what you guys did with Fall of Man and Resistance 2 and do something a little different?
It was kind of one of those things where we were always trying to see if we could evolve the process, because we didn't use motion capture on Resistance Fall of Man, and then we brought it in for R2, and it was kind of a learning experience just on that title. And again, I think coming from our background, we were comfortable as animators wanting to do facial, and we weren't really necessarily confident with what you could do with facial capture at that time. So we made the decision to just go ahead and keyframe the faces. When we wrapped R2 and we're starting R3, one of the first things that we wanted to test at that time, because we did notice there had been a lot of advances in facial performance capture. So we did a test early on, and that's actually where I first started working with Crispin. Mm-hmm. I worked with Robin on R2 when we weren't doing facial capture, and we wanted to do the test, which we took an early scene. It's one called Hideout, which is actually where Capelli and Charlie first meet and have a little conversation. Yeah, a conversation.
A scene.
Who's a bigger...
Oh, yes. Who's the cock of the walk?
But, yeah, and we picked that scene in particular because my personal feeling anyway was, as far as capture goes, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. There's people that will do body capture separately than facial, and you can get a really strong facial performance if a guy's sitting in a chair and just, you're getting all that data. But to me, there's a disconnect between when you're reading from a chair and there's the actor that you're supposed to be performing off of isn't across from you, rather than what we tried to do on our stage is get these guys in the volume together and be able to, how would you actually respond if this guy kind of got in your face? And to me, I think that the acting flowed, and I was certainly happy with the results going that way.
Right on. And I think Resistance's story is so strong, and I think that's probably one of the strongest aspects of the game. So Marcus, did it make it easier, this new way of capturing and this new way of kind of evoking feeling or whatever, did it make it easier to tell the story that you guys were trying to tell in Resistance 3 as opposed to what you guys were doing in Resistance 2?
Well, I really wish John Paquette was here. He was the writer who was on the video there. But he could tell you that I think what we got from it is a lot more nuance, that people could have more subtle subtext to their acting performance. That we wouldn't normally have necessarily picked up on, that you may lose something moving from actor to animator to game that we got. So there are a lot of times in the game where I still play it and I'm looking at the cinematics and it's like, man, that was subtle and spot on, like a really poignant performance. So I think that's what we got from doing it.
Oh. And I know Robin and Crispin, this must be, you guys are really, you guys are experienced voice actors in gaming. Have you guys done anything like this before? And did it really change the way you deliver your lines, and did it actually make it easier to kind of play your character?
Yeah, I think games are becoming more and more real, and it's because of the the interaction between the actors. There's definitely it's a complete difference between just imagining all your surroundings, imagining who you're speaking with, and actually having them there. And you're actually, that's ultimately how it should be. You're having when you're acting, listening, responding. You're just having a real moment. So I think that's why it plays off.
As voice actors, we do a very good job of trying to make it look like we've all been in the room together. But the fact of the matter is that most of the time when you're working on a video game, it's sort of like trying to record an entire orchestra one instrument at a time. And we've gotten very slick at making it sound like we were all in the room together, but it's still not quite the same as when we're all actually in the room together and can play off of each other. Mm-hmm. And then what's great is that this thing happens where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, where suddenly the reaction that I have with Robin on something inspires John as a writer to come in and say, no, let me change that line. Now it's not reading the way it was before. And so there's this wonderful sort of back and forth that happens between all of us. And when we're done with it, we're like, wow, that's better than we thought it could be. And sort of this wonderful happy accidents can happen over and over again when we're all there together.
But the first time somebody asked you to put on a motion capture suit, did you guys think you were being messed with?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like, covered in balls, and on this particular one, there was a lady. I don't know where she lives, but there's a lady who lives up in Canada who is responsible for creating these tiny little balls that are put on your face. And I don't know. There's she charges a certain amount of money for these balls, and some of them had good sticky stuff on the back. Some didn't, and it can hold production. I mean, she's got a lot of power up there. I don't know. She's got a name too. It's like Kathy. Well, these are Kathy. I'm like, well, Kathy didn't make a good bet. No, you don't want to upset Kathy, because then you'll just get balls that'll fall off.
Never upset Kathy.
I don't know if anybody caught it in the video where. We had, obviously, Robin in there as Capelli. Kari Walgren was Susan, Capelli's wife. We had a baby, which was, as you can see, a half mannequin body that had like a mesh head.
We had a lot of fun with that baby.
The baby looks just like you, Robin. It's amazing.
And Grant, I mean, having worked on a lot of Insomniac games for some time now, and being in charge of the art direction for Resistance 3, I mean, did this new way of motion capturing help you tell the story that you were trying to tell in your art? I mean, did it make it more fluid in the sense that Resistance 3 is darker and bleaker, and it's now more believable as well?
Oh, for sure. For sure, it makes it more believable because the animation is more. It's got a lot more nuances, a little smaller, just the small things that you don't really notice normally was big. But it also allowed us to do more with the post-processing and stuff like that because we were telling a story that had a lot more emotion, a lot more feeling. So we did a lot of stuff like that because of that. So.